Good morning everyone. Today majorly we will be focusing on the architecture of MySQL. Now this is something like which is very specific to MySQL. It does not relate with Microsoft SQL, and like today we will be discussing the architecture of MySQL and its power. So every software has its pros and cons, and in the similar way MySQL also have its pros and cons, but the main power of MySQL comes with its pluggable storage engine. If you just see up my screen, I am just marking up a circle all around it. So this is something like which makes it very powerful. So anyhow, first thing which you need to know is client server. Like MySQL follows up the client server architecture. If you do not know about much about Microsoft like computer architecture, you can just go back, and I've already created a series on computer architecture that is that will clear all the basics about like the computer architecture and like what exactly is client server architecture. So you can go over there, but if you are well with it, then this is the right place for you to understand the architecture of MySQL. So first thing is like MySQL follows up the client server architecture, and if you see over here, this is our client. This thing is our client. This actually this can be built in various ways. So like as an automation tester, you may like write scripts in Java with Selenium. So you may use JDBC connection type, or you may be using Python. You may be using Python for Selenium. Then you will have to use the client connector for Python. So all of these different languages have their own like JDBC. Java will have a jar file for connecting to MySQL. Similarly, other languages will also have their libraries for connection with MySQL, and these libraries has been like majorly created by MySQL or the associated partners. So in this way, like first thing which you need to understand is like whenever we send in a request to a MySQL server, what exactly happens. So MySQL servers uses a language which is structured query language. So this is a high level language, and what it does is like you give a command, and as per that command it fetches you the results. So now the next question is, how does this fetches? So you send this request from your client machine, it goes to the server. So if you see over here, I will mark it with blue. This is the server. MySQL, only this part, till this part we call as MySQL server. Then again this is the storage engine, and the last one is the hard disk. So at the end, even these tabular formats. So what exactly is MySQL? So at the end, even every data which is being stored in MySQL gets stored in some particular kind of file system. So you might have heard of NTFS or ext4. So SAN, NAS, these are different file systems, and these resides on hard disk. This is like they are the way how hard disk stores your data and how hard disk helps in extracting it. So all of your log files, all of your binary data, all of your general data, all of your redo, undo, metadata, everything is stored in the form of again files and folders in your hard disk. But when you talk about MySQL, we say that MySQL is based on tables. If everything is stored in the form of files and like folders, then how does MySQL store them? Like how we say that MySQL is something like which involves tables. So this is the purpose of the MySQL server. This is what MySQL server do. So at first you send in the SQL request from your system to the SQL server. So what is a server? You can understand it from my previous series of computer architecture, but for now you need to understand that at first you need to send in that how this exactly works. So at first you send in an SQL request from your client machine. This request goes up to your SQL server. So whenever we set up a JDBC connection or Python connection, any type of connection from our client machine, what happens is like we are required to give some parameters. So the first parameter is always the username. So we have to give the username, right? So I am just marking it as UN. That will be the username. Then we have to give the password. So we have to give the password. Then we have a query string. We say it a connection string. I'm sorry, that is not the query string, that is the connection string. We call it as the connection string. So I will just mark it as C, connection string. So we have the username, we have the password, we have the connection string. So this connection string have the IP address of your server and the port on which this server is listening. So this request reaches the connection or thread handling module of your server, and this module helps in connection handling, then authenticates your request, and also like maintains the security aspect. After your SQL query reaches this particular area, then it is picked by the parser. So what parser does, suppose you are giving a query name as select star from ABC. You are giving a query saying that select star from ABC. Then what will happen, this query will come to the parser and the parser will create a tree. So you and me are not required to understand how exactly that tree is created, but this is the way. Like it creates a tree, and then there is an optimizer like which checks if this tree is good, or like sometimes there might be a scenario when you write a query, it goes to the parser and your SQL server again rewrite your query. Understand my point? The SQL server will again rewrite your query. So it will like after generating the tree, it will realize that there are some areas which are not actually required and like which are the same. Like for example, you might have like you are using a nested query in which you are saying select star from, again saying select star from ABC. So this is the same query. You are saying select star from, then select star from ABC. So ABC, the data of ABC will be pulled out in the first query, and then you are using the same data, and then again you are like letting it out to the output window. So the query parcel will identify these things, and it will make sure that these duplicate things and like rework is not done, so that your performance of MySQL server is good. So anyhow, we people do not do, even I am a performance engineer, and even we do not do a lot of things in parser and optimizers. In optimizers, like we have a command, as of now you can understand it, we will talk about it later. We have a command called as explain. So this, what exactly this does, this will pick up your query which has a lot of joins, or maybe some group by statement, or some order by statement. So it will pick up that query, and it will explain how this will be parsed, how exactly the MySQL server will parse it. So what do we call it as? Explain plan. So in Microsoft SQL the command is explain plan, but in MySQL the command is just explain. So this is the purpose of optimizer. So it reads this parse tree and checks if there is something which has to be rewritten or something which has to be done again. Then query cache is something like which just like it is a cache. We can understand what exactly cache is. Any query which is being repeated again and again, so it is ranked top in this cache, and like this is the way to make sure that you do not again go back to your storage engine to collect the data. Then the next part, when your parser identifies what all things has to be done, and if it does not have the data in the query cache. First thing is, if it has the data in the query cache, it will take the data from the query cache and pass it on to the client. But if it does not have the data in query cache, it will go to the storage engine. Now storage engine are of various ways. So all of them are not applied on a server, only one of them is applied, and these are pluggable storage engine. If you see over there is a pluggable, I have just created a plug over here for your reference. So what does this means? That there is a file in MySQL, you just need to go and change the name of the storage engine. If you say over there MyISM, it will pick up that storage engine. If you call over there INODB, it will pick up that storage engine. If you pick up this, if you will put up this one, so it will pick up that storage engine. So at the end, what is important is you can choose any of the storage engine, and all of these storage engines have their own benefits and disadvantages. So as per the type of domain, type of business you are doing, you can pick up any kind of storage engine. And yes, we will discuss about storage engine at some later stage. But for now, I will give a highlight of storage engine, why exactly this is required. So when we say that we have written a query and it got parsed, it got optimized, now it goes to the storage engine. what if you are altering a table? So whenever you alter a table or like change the data inside a table, there are some locking systems. So why exactly locking system? Suppose you are a user A and I am a user B. User A is changing something on table A and I am reading that table. If that table is not logged, I will not be reading of the updated data, right? Because user A was updating it and I read it because it was not logged. So there is something called as lock, and it can be again of various types. Two major types are table lock and row lock. So table lock is also like applied by the optimizer sometimes, or the you can say that MySQL server sometimes, but like all other kind of locks, there can be various mechanisms, because the performance of MySQL server depends on how these locks are made and how these are released, right? Because when you are making up a lock and releasing it, there is an extra headache, right? Like if you are locking the complete table, right, so that complete table will be locked. But if you are just locking that row, then someone who is reading some data from that table which does not include that row can read that data, so that will perform faster. So a row lock is faster, but a row lock has an overhead because it has to maintain a lot of other things than table lock, because it is just maintaining the row. So it will have to check whether the other person who is coming, who is accessing the same table, is accessing that row or not. So there are some overheads for checking these constraints. So these overheads and these kind of locks, or like what kind of lock should be given to a database, it should be a table lock, row lock, or what kind of lock, and how, when they should lock it and when they should release it, what should be the length of the waiting queue, etc., and etc., and etc. There are a lot of factors which are defined in these storage engines. So this is what makes them suitable for different kind of domains. So there can be a domain which demands only table lock. There can be a domain which demands row lock. So there can be a domain which does not have a lot of data updation. It only reads data, so it will not at all require lock, maybe. So there can be a lot of things which can be done. So for this reason, there are various storage engines which have been created and which suggest like different ways of using them in different kind of products, so that you get the maximum performance. And at the end, this storage engine like interacts with the hardware file system, and this is the way, like you say that your data is stored in tables, they make sure that it looks like that the data is stored in tables, but in actual the data is in files which stores on the hard disk. Anyhow, every data is stored on the hard disk as files. The data which we are like data can be of many types. It can be an image, it can be a video, or it can be something else also, but what we are talking about over here is the type of data which is information, which is text. So tables cannot store a video, tables cannot store an image. They can store a text which references the location of that image, which references the location of that video. So there can be different type of data. The type of data which we are talking about is text, and then we are talking about that these data should be stored in tables. So SQL first is something like which operates only on tables, and this was the high level architecture of SQL. And like yes, we will go deep at some places, and we will also understand the performance tuning part of this particular software. So as of now, good day, and please take care of yourself.